My favorite part of OpenTTD is, without question, when you've got complex movement going on all over the map. Once you've got dozens of trains, sprawling cities, and buses scooting around, it becomes this beautiful piece of moving art that you've constructed. It's what drew me in as a kid, and it's what keeps me coming back as an adult. Combine that with passengers having specific places they want to go, plus multiple tiers of bus and train transit to handle those different destinations, and you've got a recipe for an interesting map. Today, we're going to put one of those maps together. To start off with, I like to start with a plan. And I'm a nice guy, so I'll share the plan with you. What's that plan, you might ask? Well, maybe sit on down and stop yelling at me, and I'll tell you. We'll make a set of local train networks in these three areas, then hook those up to our central hub city. We'll make buses for travel inside the town, small trains for getting to nearby towns, and larger trains for longer distances. We'll also throw together some pretty beefy infrastructure to support our hub city. Heck, we'll even draw a cute little model of it in the game as reference. Nendale for the central hub, and smaller networks around our little buddies, Rentney, Whitcomb, and Truntown. First off, the buses. They'll give us early profit and help these towns start growing. For some reason in OpenTTD, you grow towns by moving people around. I don't ask questions, I just build transit options. We'll set up 2 to 4 bus stops in each town and get the routes moving. We won't go into too much detail for this step, since it's just putting down stops and telling buses to go to them. Once we've finished up with our surrounding towns, we'll do the same for our hub city, and then it's time to move on to the trains. Our first will be built around Rentney. With just 2 towns, it's almost insultingly easy. And you could have guessed it, we're going to build 2 train stations and some track between. Truly revolutionary. For all these local train networks, I like to have frequent service and short trains scurrying around. We'll go with some little fellas that are 3 tiles long. Over here around Whitcomb, it's a bit more complex. We'll start off with the easy pair to get some income, then snake around the mountains to hook up the eastern town, and finally make a nice beefy bridge across the entrance to the bay to finish things off. You might recognize these towns from my guide on cargo distribution. If you've not seen it, I was just informed by my lawyer that you're legally required to, so I'd recommend checking it out. For our third and final local network, we'll start off with a terminus at Truntown, then pop down Aurora and Bennington Castle, and destroy some crops with a frankly gorgeous line of track to hook the 2 up. Next, we'll build a station, track, and a depot down to Fodgrove, and we'll finish by hooking up Seatage to the rest of the network, and before too long, we'll put down a large station next to Seatage to connect it up to the hub. That was a bit of a whirlwind, so let's take a quick, high-level look at what we did before we build up our hub. 2 stations in Rentney, 4 and a nice beefy bridge in Whitcomb, and 4 more connecting Truntown. We'll make some larger stations in a little bit to hook these local networks up to the primary central network, but first we have our hub city to attend to. If things go to plan, this city is going to get big, and we'll have a lot of passengers flowing through it. We'll start off with an over-engineered station that has some bridges in the middle of the entrance to help allow trains to depart and arrive with minimal blocking of each other. I suppose if we really wanted high throughput, I could have gone with a row instead of a terminus, but we all make mistakes, and the past is the past, so over-engineering will have to serve us for now. Next, we gotta think about how people will move into and around the city, since it'll serve as both a hub for transit between the other towns, and will itself be a destination. Since we've already got buses, we can throw down a ring of stations and track around the outside of the city to assist, then hook up those buses to the ring stations. Eventually, the city will grow to engulf these tracks, and we'll be glad to have them. We'll hook them up to the main station as the primary form of transit to and from it. With the ring of trains finished, we'll supplement them by chucking what is almost definitely too many buses and give them some fun colors to distinguish our east-west from our north-south bus lines. And now, we just need to hook up our local networks to the central one. We've already got that big station built, and we'll build smaller ones for each of our little networks. Once again, we'll start with Rentney. We'll toss the big station down next to the local one so that passengers can easily transfer between modes of transit, then draw our tracks out to the hub. Next, Chunhall. Once again, we want to build a long station next to the pre-existing local station, and the only clean way to do that requires us to build some bridges at the entrance. Honestly, I love how these look though, and I'm quite pleased with it. My geography teacher would be proud since I finally have a good chance to use the word isthmus as our tracks traverse one on the way out of Chunhall, and we continue past this coal mine and lonely little town as we snake over to the hub city. Finally, we'll raise some of the land out of the water next to seatage to make room for a station and cross through these fields with the track. I think the aesthetics of these entrance-exit tracks look great connecting up to the mainland. We'll finish by drawing some tracks along the hills just past the iron mine and between a couple of factories. And now that we've got our train lines built, here's a split screen showing all of them on their routes, along with some footage of the Hub City station chugging away. I even took the liberty of changing their colors later on, as you can see in the bottom left. We've got red, yellow, and blue based upon the different routes that they're taking. With all of these connected, let's go ahead and recap. We've got our 2 stations and bus stops around Rentney. Just one simple line for our 3-tile local trains, and a large 7-tile station with these 2 bridges crossing over to access the hub. Around Whitcomb, we've got a cool little network to hook up these 4 towns, along with a couple of nice looking bridges. We're connecting our 7-tile station to the local one in Chunhall to give these towns access to the rest of the map. Around Truntown, we've hooked up these towns with a nice little train network featuring relatively minimal destruction of farmland. And all of these finish back in Nendale at our large station and local distribution network. And with that, we're done. Let me know how you would have built things differently or what you would like me to cover next. But for now, all I have left to say is bye!